Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the Intergalactic Space Arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room. It's Atari Week. It's the review of the Atari Jaguar. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it named after a cat? It is named after a cat, but is it better than the Vectrex Turbo Panther? I made that up because there's no way it could be, but it is the Jaguar. Yes, it's pretty easy to make fun of Atari's Jaguar and pull its tail and step on its little paws. But does it deserve all the abuse it gets? After all, it's called the Jaguar, which is cool. And its cartridges have little handles, and that's kind of neat. Jaguar! It's a cool-looking game system. It's got the Atari logo all over it, and Jaguar doesn't rhyme with poo. So why does everyone make fun of it? Well, that's a good question. Let's talk about the Jaguar. It's a fine-looking game console from Atari released in 1993. It's a 64-bit interactive multimedia system from Atari, who was once the master of video games a decade before this was released. And look, it's even got a little sad face. I think it knows this. Too little, too late from Atari, whose good name had already been body-slammed by Nintendo, shot in the head by Sega, and was about to find its corpse defiled by Sony. This thing never stood a chance. The Jaguar was a huge commercial flop, and I remember seeing stacks of these things when they were new on fire sale at my local Hills department store. They couldn't get rid of them. Why would you buy a Jaguar when the other popular choices at the time were Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and TurboGrafx 16? Nobody could afford a CDI 3DO or Neo Geo. Atari did little to convince anyone that the Jaguar was a game system worth owning. By the time it was released, Atari's beleaguered Jungle Cat was outdated, and because of that, there's hardly any games worth playing on it. The controller is notorious for being clunky and awful, but it's actually not that bad. The D-pad works, it has 3 comfortable buttons, and a hideous but functional telephone keypad. That works with some overlays, but by 1993, nobody cared about this stuff. That being said, does the Jaguar deserve the abuse that it gets?
Kasumi Ninja!
It kind of does, but let's be clear, this is not on horrible Gamecom or Mattel Hyperscan level. The Jaguar was capable of delivering some decent games like Iron Soldier, which shows real promise, and the excellent Tempest 2000. So it's not an unplayable game system by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that most of the games are, or certainly were, underwhelming in 1993 and 1994. While there's a few decent games available, the Jaguar failed because of bad marketing, poor timing, and the fact that Atari was in complete disarray at the time. What's surprising is that it's probably more popular today than it ever was before. Games like Alien vs. Predator, seen here, show that the Jaguar has a lot of hidden potential. It's just that most of the games released for it never demonstrate that at all. I'm looking for someone to stab. Is there anybody around here who would like to be stabbed? Anyone? Anyone over here? You! Nice to meet you. Where? How do we stab him? Would it really take the Predator that many tries to kill a simple human? Come on! Alien vs. Predator may be a bit of a missed opportunity, but garbage like Kasumi Ninja really doesn't help the Jaguar's case.
Show no mercy. Jackie, win.
On the other hand, this game is so laughably bad that it's almost good. Pitfall the Mayan Adventure shows that the Jaguar could play a game that's easily handled by the Sega Genesis, and Iron Soldier just isn't as good as MechWarrior when you get down to it. The Jaguar is not a laughably bad piece of hardware. It actually works. It's just that it was released about 4 years too late, and it never really received a lineup of games that showed what it could do. Now, thanks to the internet and a homebrew community, Atari's Jungle Cat lives on, kind of. It's not a game system I would recommend, but it also doesn't deserve the kind of abuse that one might give to the Gamecom or Hyperscan, because those are truly terrible game systems. I used to have a Jaguar, sold it years ago, so thanks to Greg from Classic Game Room for loaning me this one. I wouldn't recommend buying a Jaguar. I think they're a bit overpriced these days. Maybe borrow your friends and scratch it behind the ears, give it a saucer of milk. You're not that bad, Jaguar. You've got a cool name, your styling looks good, and Tempest 2000 is better than every single game released for the Gamecom, Hyperscan, and CDI combined.
Turn up the lights, turn up the volume, and prepare for a mind-blowing assault on the senses.
And it doesn't suck major ass.
Once your neurotransmitters get a taste, do they have taste buds?
Yes.
Once your neurotransmitters get a taste of the hypnotic rhythms of 100% pure techno rave, you'll be hooked. Unable to escape the rush of blasting flippers and demon heads as enhanced 3D polygons, screaming particle displays, and hyperdelic Meltovision graphics warp you into the ultra-violent 64th dimension.
Now the combination of you watching the game room and Meltovision, your mind should be thoroughly warped.
Meltovision trademark. It's